Hello and welcome to today's English lesson. My name is Stuart. In today's lesson, we're looking at reflexive pronouns and when we use this particular type of pronoun in English. Let's go to the intro. Now, as I said, today we're looking at reflexive pronouns and how we use them in English. Now, reflexive pronouns are myself, yourself, himself, herself, itself, oneself, ourselves, yourselves, and themselves. And we use them when the object and the subject in the sentence are the same. So, let's have a look at this example. I cut myself with a knife. So, I, subject, object, myself, I cut myself with a knife. Okay, so we have the reflexive pronoun, we have the subject, okay, same sentence, I cut myself with a knife. So, these are the reflexive pronouns. Now, another example that we have here. Dave is going to buy himself a new car. Okay? Dave is going to buy himself a new car, or she picked herself up off the ground. So in all of these examples, the reflexive pronoun is related to the subject. So Dave, he, himself. She, herself. I, myself. Okay? That is when we use normally reflexive pronouns. Now there are some other uses. For example, we can use reflexive pronouns when we want to emphasize or for emphatic use. Now look at these examples. Don't ask me to help you, do it yourself. Okay? Don't ask me to help you, do it yourself. Okay? You could say, why don't you do it, or you do it, but here the emphasis is we're using the reflexive pronoun, do it yourself. Another example, I went to the top and spoke to the boss himself. Okay, I went to the top of the company and spoke to the boss himself. Now I don't need to put himself here. I could just say and spoke to the boss, but I'm emphasizing that I spoke to this person or that person, okay, the boss. That is where the emphasis comes in, okay? So I went to the top of the company and I spoke to the boss himself, okay? Now, the next example is when we use these reflexive pronouns with by plus the reflexive pronoun to mean alone, or it means something that you do without help. Example, Jenny is in the corner sitting by herself. Jenny is in the corner sitting alone. And what a nice picture. Did you draw it by yourself? Okay, did you draw it by yourself without help? Okay, so you did it yourself without help, or you did it alone without anybody helping you. And the fourth point I'm going to point out here is that we can use reflexive pronouns instead of personal pronouns, okay? So look at this example. This job would be perfect for someone like yourself. This job would be perfect for someone like yourself. Normally we would say this job would be perfect for someone like you, but we can also use reflexive pronouns here in this type of sentence. This job would be perfect for someone like yourself. Okay. Now I'll be back in a minute with more examples of when we use and when we don't use reflexive pronouns. See you in a sec. Okay, back again with the final part of the lesson. Now, we also use reflexive pronouns after certain verbs. Certain verbs. So all of these verbs that we have here are normally used with reflexive pronouns. So, for example, we would say, ask yourself, behave yourself, he burnt himself, he bought himself a new car, he dried himself with a towel, she enjoyed herself at the party, She got herself lost, okay, or she got herself a present. She helped herself to some more cake. He hurt himself playing football. They introduced themselves to us. They looked after themselves nicely. They made themselves a sandwich. They saw themselves as different to what they really were. They talked to themselves all the time. I told myself not to do it. And watch yourself with that, please. In other words, meaning be careful. Watch yourself. Now, these verbs here, the ones in blue, are not normally used with reflexive pronouns. Now, in some languages they are. For example, in Spanish, a lot of these words are used with reflexive pronouns. Cambiarse, sentirse, vestirse. But in English, we don't normally use these verbs with reflexive pronouns. For example, we can't say, I changed myself. Okay, we don't normally say that. Now, I say normally because there is an exception to the rule. And the exception to the rule is that we only use some of these verbs with reflexive pronouns when we're trying to make clear who does the action. Look at the example. I shave every day. I don't need to say I shave myself every day. I shave every day. But I used to go to a barber for a shave, but now I shave myself. So in this sense, we can use a reflexive with the verb shave. Again, for years I dressed my son, because my son was very little, so I had to put his clothes on every day. So for years I dressed my son, but now he dresses himself because he's got older and he's able to put his clothes on himself. Okay, so those are the exceptions to the rules. Thank you very much for watching the lesson. If you have any questions or any comments or any doubts, please leave them below in the comment section. Remember to share the video, please, on social media, your Facebook, your Google+, your Twitter, whichever social media you use. Please try to share the video, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Have a good day. Bye.